Hello comrades, Sparshalot here. So I left something off in the last video towards the end, so that's where I got the idea for this video. First of all, let me tell you, I am no expert on communism. Forget about being an expert. I am not even sure if I understand it properly. But this is just you can say my brief experience with it. Experience, you know what I mean. So I was talking to you guys about Model United Nations. So that's just something that happens in schools, colleges, and also otherwise, where they simulate different organs of the UN, and then people go crazy with their imagination, and then they're having conference of whatever conference happened in Harry Potter or whatever. So those kind of things. So a friend of mine was organizing one of the committees in my school. This is back in class 11 in our school's MUN. So he was heading that committee, and I found it to be interesting. It was called the Fourth International. So as I said before, there were 3 international conferences of the socialists and communists, basically all the left parties according to the political alignment. So 3 of them happened, and so this was a simulation, a hypothetical situation where a 4th one was happening, where there was some agenda which I do not remember anymore. So what happens is you get different portfolios depending on whatever organization you are in. So we were all given different portfolios for the socialist and communist parties from around the world. So what I was representing was, wait a second, if I can just, no, I don't think so. Anyways, I was representing the South African Communist Party. So let me give you some facts about it. It was founded in 1921. It was declared illegal in 1950, and it participated in the struggle to end the apartheid system there. And there was Comrade Joyce Mashamba, who was also known as the Woman of Steel, who was an activist who at that point had recently died. The party strongly supports the quality healthcare for all, and it was against imperialism and racist domination. So what I'm doing right now is I'm just going through some of the notes I made during that MUN and things that I spoke there in the conference. So I was looking at this article or some party paper called Failure of Really Existing Socialism, and if I'm not wrong, this was from a British left party. I don't remember its name. But let me share with you what I wrote down. Socialism is undoubtedly in the throes of a crisis greater than at any time since 1917. The last half of 1989 saw the dramatic collapse of most of the Communist Party governments of Eastern Europe. Their downfall was brought about through massive upsurges which had the support not only of the majority of the working class but also a large slice of the membership of the ruling parties themselves. These were popular revolts against unpopular regimes. If socialists are unable to come to terms with this reality, the future of socialism is indeed bleak. Shockwaves of very necessary self-examination have also been triggered off among communists, both inside and outside the socialist world. For our part, we believe in the future of socialism, and we do not dismiss its whole past as an unmitigated failure. Socialism certainly produced a Stalin and a Kokosu, forgive my pronunciation, but it also produced a Lenin and a Gorbachev. Despite the distortions at the top, The nobility of socialism's basic objectives inspired millions upon millions to devote themselves selflessly to building it on the ground. And no one can doubt that if humanity is today poised to enter an unprecedented era of peace and civilized international relations, it is in the first place due to the efforts of the socialist world. The mounting chronicle of crimes and distortions in the history of existing socialism, its economic failures, and the divide which developed between socialism and democracy have raised doubts in the minds of many former supporters of socialism, of the socialist cause, as to whether socialism can work at all. So, end of quote. That I found that to be an interesting paragraph where they realize that the whole agenda of socialism and communism does not have much to brag about, or its achievements in the past. So, what could be the way forward? And that was more or less the tone of the discussion there. Next, I have something called Strategies for Revival of World Revolution. So, beginning of the quote. Should socialists fight for unity of the Marxist left on the basis of open defense of Marxist politics, or for a new mass workers' party, or a party not programmatically delimited between reform and revolution? Or is it wrong to seek to create a party at all? If we should be fighting for a Marxist party, does that mean it should be Trotskyist, or Maoist, or Stalinist, or something else? Should we call for a workers' government, and if so, what would we mean by it? Should we be defeatists in relation to our own country's wars? If so, what does this mean? These are present political questions affecting socialists, but they are unavoidably expressed in terms of identification with political trends which emerged out of historical splits in the workers' movement: Marxism, anarchism, social democracy, Leninism, left or council communism, official communism, Trotskyism, Maoism, so on and so forth. This is unavoidable. Humans have no guide to action in the future other than theorizing on what has happened in the past. And we do it all the time when we are awake. The Labour and Socialist and or socialist parties are now as committed to free market dogmas as the parties of the right in some cases, more so. But this commitment has hardly benefited these parties. Though in Britain, Labour has clung to office with capitalist support, and in Germany, France, Spain, and Italy, social liberal parties have moved in and out of office. The underlying trend has been one of declining numerical support for the parties of the consensus, including those which self-identify as of the left. Increased abstentions, episodic surges in voting support for anything received as an alternative, usually on the right but occasionally on the left, and a widespread belief that the politicians are all corrupt. End of quote. So the whole discussion was quite interesting, and it might have been my first introduction to left ideology to that extent, I would say. Of course, we hear it all the time since the beginning, but that was when I actually got a chance to really think about it, and I remember writing down something about the proletariat. So apparently this was Marx's dream of golden age when the workers would invert the pyramid and put things right. Yeah, I think that's correct. And halfway throughout the that conference, we were doing this thing when our parties were being declared illegal, and we were we would say how would we be going forward about it. And I also remember taking something from a document about Stalinism and putting it up in front of the conference. So someone put up the argument that, are you saying that Stalinism is good and we should adopt it, or something like that? And then I explained that I'm not saying that we should bring a Stalinist kind of political control, but there were some aspects which can be taken from it and then adapted to the modern world. So that is the thing about most of the left. And this person who was heading this committee later told me that you did good, but you should speak more. That's something I hear very often. Not to brag about it, anyways. And while that conference went on, we met one of our social science teachers in the hallways, and he sort of warned us that, okay, it's for the few days of this whatever conference or something, you are talking about socialism, communism, but don't let it get to your head. It's all a bunch of bullshit and crap. So I think this kind of hostility is also pretty dangerous. We should allow the free exploration of ideas, be it in any field. We should be allowed to explore them and delve into them as deep as we like, instead of having, oh, you are of the far right, oh, you are of the far left. We should take everything into consideration. We should not practice otherization of any kind, and this whole stigmatization around especially the left and the far left. I don't know what you can do about it, but I'm running out of time for now. Maybe I'll do another video on this. We'll see. I'll see you next time. Bye bye.